Coach Kirsten Bernthal Booth here, and Coach, except for serving, it was as I was telling Maggie, it wasn't a good serving weekend. Everything else went pretty well.
Yeah, sometimes I have a feel after a match and say, okay, we played great, or we played bad, or we played, and I'm kind of in the middle on this one. I really need to go back and watch film. I thought it was a roller coaster of a match, in the sense of I thought we did streaks of wonderful play, and then I thought we'd give up runs. I mean, I thought this whole match was a game of runs at different times. We'd give up, 3-4 points in a row. And then we'd go on a run, and so we don't want to be the team we want to go on runs, but we don't want to give up runs. But I did see a lot of great play too within that, and I thought there were some really phenomenal points, and I think we won a lot of those long points, which is great, and especially on a home court, I think that's great to get the crowd going. But game 2 serving was quite frustrating.
Absolutely. The side out percentages obviously reflect what you say. Neither team able to really get the stops that they wanted. We mentioned in the pregame, we thought it was important that the team block, and they blocked very well in set 1. Had not recorded a block in set 2, and you were down 20-16. You had called a timeout, and they came back out with 2 blocks, and I think that kind of turned the tide.
Well, and we kind of challenged them game 2. I just didn't feel like we were mentally, I consistently feel like this team is mentally locked in, and I didn't necessarily feel we were as mentally focused as we needed to be, and we kind of challenged them in game 2. And then at that last stint, right where you're talking about, we really were locked into what their hitters were doing and their tendencies, and I thought, and we talked about that at halftime, wasn't real pleased with play up till that point, but I thought at crunch time they did a great job of setting strong blocks, knowing what was going on, bunching when we wanted them to, things along those lines, and it was obviously huge for us.
I think your point about being mentally locked in was pretty evident with the start of each set. We dropped down 4-0, 2-0, 3-0 in all 3 sets, and fortunately they were able to battle back. But normally you want to get at least 1-1, 2-1, right, something like that.
Or you want to be the 1-4-0. Yeah.
Right, or you want to be. But to their credit, they came right back, particularly in set 1. Went on a 5-0 run of their own and was able to come back on that. The point, it was obvious that you had coached the team, and a lot of focus was on Karen Palgotova. She winds up with 14 hitting errors, and by our estimation, 8 or 9 of those were blocks.
Well, we talked to the team. When you've got a kid that gets so many more sets than everybody else on the team, you've got a controller, and the game plan was we can't let anyone really go off, but we can't let 5 go off because she's going to get so many swings, and if we can keep her, I mean, obviously we didn't anticipate keeping her below 0, so that's fantastic, but if we could keep her in that 100 to 150 range, they're going to struggle to win, and we've had some teams like this. Marquette's got a stud hitter that you have to contain. Xavier's got a stud hitter that you've got to contain. So when we've hit matches like this, we can't forget other players. We spent a lot of time preparing for 32, who got a lot of sets also, and she tore us up at their place. So our scouting report was kind of, it was good this time, which is rare when these coaches, when we put them to, no, I'm just kidding. But this scouting report, we were locked in and really keyed on 5 and 32. We felt like those were the players that we needed to contain, and I think we did that tonight.
A lot of our conversation throughout this match and just in the post game, obviously the interview, Maggie Baumert. Maggie had a phenomenal match today. Not only her setting, her blocking, she played about the perfect match as far as you can tell and everything. And we talked to her about how she keeps that continuity because she's not playing every match.
Yeah, I think Maggie's doing a great job. I think you see that because she's a 5th year. She's just someone that has played a lot of volleyball. I think even when she's on the bench, she's watching. And, you have a choice. When you're not playing, you can be in La La Land or at practice when you're watching, or you can really lock in and learn the game. I mean, her blocking has improved so much from this year to last year. And I don't think it's stuff we're doing in practice. I think it's the fact that she's watched great blockers and she's seen how they drop their hands and do some things. So some of those nuances that great blockers do, she's starting to do, and maybe you talk about it, but I just think sometimes players get to a point that they're coaches on the court, and I think Maggie wants to coach. There's an adage that you become a much better player after you coach, and I think there's a lot of truth to that in Maggie's game.
We talked about a month ago about Taryn Cloth and how she was starting to fit into. She looks a lot more comfortable out there. Not only her swinging, which was good today, but again, her blocking was extremely good, and I thought extremely strong on the outside.
Taryn's a good blocker, and you never know. You can get these tall players that don't have an eye for the ball. You know, that they can be big, but they're still not getting a lot of blocks. And Taryn's got a nose for the ball, so that's really good. You know, Taryn hasn't connected all that well with Maggie historically. She's connected better with Ashley. So it's good that she and Maggie, we've worked some on that, and I think it'll continue to get better. She likes a little different ball than Marissa. So kind of getting that work together, you know, hitting, you know, almost 550 is great, and I think they're starting to get that that consistency that we need there.
I know you feel good, 11-0. Can't ask for better than that. You now have a 2-game lead over Villanova, but now you go on the road for 4 straight matches. You got to go to Villanova. You got some tough matches on the road before you come home. That's a very important 4-game stretch. Oh,
it's going to be grueling. You know, we're really going to focus one match at a time. So we will be strictly focused on Villanova Friday, and then we'll move on to Seton Hall on Saturday. And you know, we just can't get ahead of ourselves. Every match, you know, we talked about before the match today. This is the most important match of the season. Everything is about a resume. A good win can help us. A bad loss can hammer us. And you know, we talked about there was a team in the MAC that lost a bad match last night, and now all of a sudden people are saying, you know, there's concerns of whether they'll get in the tournament. So, you know, again, we have to be the mentally strong team that understands the ramification of each game and go out mentally and be strong each night. And you know, they've stepped up to that challenge. So hopefully, Villanova is a tough place to play. We're gonna have our hands full on Friday night, but it should be a lot of fun.
You said you didn't know quite how to classify this match, but if you kind of look back over the last month and a half, are you happy with the progress of the team?
Yeah, I am. I still think we need to be more consistent. You know, I think as a coach you want perfection, and maybe it's not a sport of perfection. But I want us to not have an off-serving night. You know, I don't want us to have a night when a player that's been hitting really well doesn't connect. Now, a sign of a good team is you can have a player that's carrying a lot of load not have a good night and we're still winning. And I think that's the great thing with this team is someone can struggle and someone else will step up. So those are all great things. I think defensively I see a lot of good things, but I still see some areas that we can get better. So, you know, I am pleased with where we are. I don't think we have peaked of where we need to be to make a run, not only in our conference tournament, but in the NCAA tournament. And, you know, we've got some lofty goals, so we need to continue to get better, and I think this group will.
Kirsten, thank you. Congratulations on the win. Good luck on the road trip.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Kirsten Bernthal Booth with us as the Jays sweep St. John's today, go 11-0 in conference play. We're going to step aside for our final timeout. You are listening to Creighton University Women's Volleyball on 1180, Zone 2, The Deuce.